Hi guys, my name is Chad Martin, and I'm out here for the California Tournament Trail to talk about Lake Berryessa coming up. It's our next event on our circuit. What I'm going to do today is just kind of go out, go over a few points, things that I like to do on this lake, things I like to look for. Some of the baits I like to throw. I like throwing Alabama rig, of course, spinner bait, rattle traps, jigs, spinner heads. That kind of thing is really good on this lake. We got a lot of weather this year coming in, so we got a lot of rain going to be coming up. A lot of these creeks are flowing pretty hard. So typically what I'll do when I come out to break down a lake to start searching for fish, I go to the main body. I like the main body. I like big points, big long points. Use the topographical maps you have in your units and try to find those big humps and long points. And go back to the creeks. Check this running water, see if it's warm, it's cold, if it's dirty. A lot of times that's going to tell you where these fish are positioned and how they're doing. So right now we're going to go out here and we're going to see if we can't catch a couple fish. And whenever I'm throwing a crankbait on these lakes, I'm looking for suspended fish. If I can find fish that are in 15, 20 feet of water that are suspended over 30, 35 feet out on the end of these points, a lot of times it's bass that are out here feeding, and because they're chasing trout a lot and they're protecting these coves and keeping the bait and the trout back in these pockets and on the side of these points. So I'll throw the crankbait, try to catch those suspended fish, but every once in a while you'll come across a little outcropping, a little hump off the end of a point, and if I do and I start hitting it, I try to keep the bait contact the bottom the whole time, retrieve it, let it bounce into it, stop it, retrieve real quick, or even change directions by raising your rod tip up. And a lot of times you can trigger a strike by doing that, especially in this cooler water. We're looking at 51 degrees this morning, and which is perfect for this lake. Watercolor looks good. Just got to find the one that wants to eat. From last year when we were here, I think the lake is probably about maybe 10 feet down from where it was. Not much. This lake pretty much sustained its water all summer. And it's probably one of the best lakes fishing in late summer and the fall that we've had. They don't tend to drop this lake like they do most of the other lakes around here. So I think from the bite last year, what we had this year, it should be real similar. You get a lot of reaction fish, I think, caught in February. A lot of jig fish, a lot of deep island top jig fish. And this lake is loaded with island tops. And there's a lot of different structure. There's an old town underneath here. There's an old vineyard underwater. So there's a lot of things to fish on this lake other than just the obvious points that you see as you go down. If you study a map, you'll see a lot of stuff that you really need to get offshore and fish and take your time to break it down. And another thing this lake has is a lot of smallmouth. And people don't realize how many smallmouth I think live in this lake. You can pretty much catch largemouth, spotted bass, and smallmouth. It's probably one of the best lakes around for doing all that stuff and having good success at it. And with the amount of trout that's on this lake, everyone that fishes this lake, it's no secret that a Huddleston is probably one of the best big fish baits on this lake. And you just don't ever tell what you're going to catch, anywhere from a 4 or 5 pounder to a 15, 16 pounder. There's a lot of different ways to fish. You can go out and throw big baits, Huddlestons and Alabama rigs and ospreys and stuff like that all day long, and take your chances of getting that big bite. Or you can go throw crankbait, spinnerbait, shaky heads, and then go back and throw the big baits the rest of the day. It just depends on what you want to do and the kind of time that you want to invest in doing it. But it's definitely a lake, if you want to do that, this is definitely a lake to do it on. A lot of fish stacked up right there. So what I'm looking for when I go to look on my graph and I see a lot of fish stacked up on the side of a point on the end, if it's a lot of bait compressed and there's fish spinning above it, sometimes just change your angle. Just keep kind of moving around, and you can fish the same spot but change your angle a little bit. And a lot of times they think that a trout's coming out of deep water up on the point or some kind of a predator fish coming up, and they can ambush them. So it doesn't hurt, even if you're on top of them, to come off of them and try to go back and maybe fish them again a different way. Oh, there we go. Right at the boat. So we picked up a square bill, flip on this point. Got a nice Berryessa bass. There we go. So you got to kind of keep moving around, keep playing a little bit, and eventually you'll catch fish. Nice little fish. Hi guys, my name is Chad Martin, and I'm out here today on behalf of the California Tournament Trail. And we have our Berryessa event coming up here February 27th, 28th. And so we kind of come out to do a little rundown on the lake and talk about it a little bit, talk about some of the baits that you might be able to use out here. I like throwing the Norman DD22 and deep little ends. I throw it on the 804 power rod with a lose reel, and I usually throw it with a 5/4 to 1. A lot of the baits are, square bills, spinner baits, shaky head, jigs. The big baits, the Huddlestons and the Alabama rigs work really well on this lake too. So when you come out, you got to kind of look at the watercolor, kind of get a feel for the lake, look for the water temperature, and kind of gauge these things off of patterns that fish usually do this time of year, especially in the winter when it's real cold. We're due to get a lot more weather this winter, so there's a good chance this lake could get really muddy by the time our tournament rolls around. So you want to do a little bit of homework, come out here, look at the main body. When I break down a lake like this, I like to look for big points, creek channels, things like that, to kind of concentrate and focus my efforts on when I first start practicing, and then just kind of make your way around. Fish are going to set up differently in certain places. Take your time. Sometimes you got to slow down a whole lot. But I hope you guys will come out and fish California Tournament Trail. I'd like to bring you guys, get your buddies out here, bring co-anglers with you. Let's get as many people sign up as we can. It's a great event. Bill Cook, he runs a great event out here for us. And I'd like to thank my sponsors, Power Rods, Minn Kota, Humminbird, Trigger Happy Comfort Grips, and Lose Reels. So thank you very much. Hope to see you guys out here in February. Thanks.